Chris Cordani, Dr. Jerome Corsi's producer here once again. Welcome to the Truth Central. Dr. Corsi is now in Tulsa, Oklahoma, as he continues to move forward with this extensive work he's doing on efforts to inform people about dangerous voter roll algorithms in several U.S. states. For today's The Truth Central, we're going to take you to a conversation he had recently on the Paley Naroth Taylor Show, discussing his fight to expose and stop the use of this algorithm as part of the Real Steel series here on the Truth Central. You can find out more about this effort and how to donate to help Dr. Corsi, Andrew Paquette, Dr. Graves, and the team expose this threat and stop the real steal through the website gods5stones.com. That's gods5stones.com. Now, here's Dr. Corsi's conversation on the Paley Naroth Taylor Show.
Welcome back to the Paley Naroth Taylor Show. Well, we've got Dr. Jerome Corsi with us, a friend and returning guest. He's written a couple of excellent books on various aspects of the deep state, the killing of the deep state, who really killed Kennedy, Saul Alinsky, evil genius, and where is the birth certificate, a book about Obama, a scourge of Obama back in the day. And I can recommend those books I've read. They're really well sourced. I'm something of an expert on Kennedy, so if everything he writes is well sourced as that, he's a really go-to guy. And he has all the goods on the election steal coming up, but we won't talk about that immediately. Jerome, welcome to the show, by the way.
Great to be back. Thank you.
You were a kind of scourge. Well, we just start off with Kamala, because Kamala, the impression I get is that her handlers are telling her to do this sort of hopey, changey stuff, which is all very Obama 2008, 2012. And Obama, of course, hasn't given up domestic politics. You wrote a book skewering him and arguing that his birth certificate was a manufactured thing. Tell us a little bit about what you think of Kamala, where she is going forward, and what the connection is, if she's connected to the Obama clan, and just generally give us your view on Kamala.
Well, Kamala was Obama's pick. She was the one he wanted. He wanted her there to balance off Biden. Biden and Obama have always had a bit of a rocky relationship. It's never been a perfect relationship, and of course you've always had Hillary on the outside, wanting in and not in either with Biden or with Obama. She and Obama clashed, as you recall, in 2008 for the presidential nomination. So Kamala is pretty much of an empty shell. I mean, she has nothing. If you let her talk on her own, she's going to destroy her campaign. She'll say she wants to open the border to illegal immigrants. She wants to free the prisoners, let them all roam the streets, don't need any police, destroy America. I mean, you can't let Kamala talk. So she's imitating this Obama, but it's Obama without the charisma. I mean, this is Obama on a bad Saturday night rerun of an old movie, that nobody really wanted to see in the first place, and everybody knows was a lie once it was shown. So this movie's been seen before, and they have nothing. I mean, their campaign is nothing. They must be paying people to come to see her, for all I can figure out, because there's nothing there that's going to be of any message, no excitement, more censorship, more gender insanity. I think the only people who are going to vote for Kamala are and this other guy who is, no one knows even who he is, stolen honor and all the rest of it. This is the worst ticket any presidential campaign has had in America since George Wallace picked Curtis LeMay to be his running mate in 1968. George Wallace was an absolute racist, and out and out racist. And Curtis LeMay wanted to bomb everybody. You could see, bombed Germany in World War II, bombed Japan, and he wanted to go to nuclear war with Russia during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And these two were terrible candidates. And George Wallace got shot in the election, and it was the whole thing fell apart. But the point is that Kamala and what's his name don't have a premise on which to run except hate America. That's it. That's their entire premise. Hate America, destroy God, take out of the schools, do sex operations with children, have abortions, have vasectomies, no more babies, kill everybody, depopulate. Well, that's a satanic agenda. And the problem with Satan is he forgot to get, a little flaw in the plan is he didn't get our agreement that we want to be depopulated. And so therefore it's not a very good plan. It's a hard plan to sell to people that we're going to depopulate you. Well, thanks for telling us. We're glad we're useless to you. But
Why
vote for
is
us anyway. But vote for us anyway. Yeah, go
why
ahead.
is she has I mean uh, Trump is ahead with the married men, married women, and unmarried men, but not with unmarried women, where there's a 27% advantage. I think with Biden, so maybe it's even bigger with Kamala, so 41 to 68. Why is it that the women are such faithful Democrats, and they make all the difference, basically?
Well, first of all, the polls are completely wrong. They're all gaslit because what they're doing is oversampling Democrats. They're oversampling women. They're biasing the polls. And this is all part of the election steal. The only chance the Democrats have to win is to steal the election. And that's why I think they've got these security agency, you've got classified secret algorithms in the state election databases that we're showing and proving now that are there to enable false, fraudulent mail-in votes to be certified. That's the Democrats' last hope. That and lying. So Biden was so far behind that they had to get rid of him, and they didn't do it gracefully. They parked him and basically told him to shut up, and he's disappeared. Now Kamala, who's not president, is running around campaigning as if she were president. Nobody's really running the White House except for Obama. And the news in the United States about the war and in Ukraine and the war in the Middle East has largely been dampened down, all with this promoting of Kamala. Isn't she exciting? 3 weeks ago, the Democratic Party hated Kamala. They couldn't figure out a way to get rid of her. Okay, they still can't figure out a way to get rid of her. Now they're going to gaslight her. They're going to say, there's going to be just like they did in Europe. The first round of voting in the parliamentary election, Le Pen and all these conservatives were winning. Then suddenly there was a left surge. The left woke up and they won the second. I called into France and to Italy, speak both languages, and they said, "No, Dr. Corsi, there's nobody at the polls. The surge is happening in the computers. It's all a steal. It's all a narrative that the intelligence agencies are making up and jamming down people's throats. And the only people believing it are those who are already sold into this brainwashed woke agenda and who hate America. And so therefore, if Kamala's events, you get a Hamas protest. What does she say? She says, well, we're going to have a ceasefire and we're going to release the hostages. She's been in the White House as vice president. She was going to do that. Why didn't she already do it? It's not credible. This is a absolutely joke campaign that can only be run because the Democrats control the media with the intelligence agencies. The intelligence agencies are running our elections right now, and that's the bottom line of the message I'm delivering.
And I remember when last time you came on. I mean, did I say something that you've got maybe the story of the century? But if the elections are stolen all over the Western world, America's vassals, as it were, that makes total sense because we can never get it right. We pull a lever and nothing seems to happen in Europe as well. And we boast about having our more secure elections than you do and having the results on the night. But I don't think I'm dubious. I mean, I'd ask that question. It's like a working hypothesis. I can't prove it yet, and I don't quite know where to go to find out to find out whether the election is stolen. But yeah,
we're gonna prove it for you because what happens is, look, I'm a political scientist. I've been doing election data since the 1960s. Right now, where computers are, you can model an election. I used to in the 1960s would sit with our professors at television stations and say, this person's going to win, is going to lose based upon early performance. So I could sit at my computer today knowing that I have rigged 300,000 votes that I can mail fraudulently for mail-in however I want to do it as an intelligence agent. Nobody knows I'm an intelligence agent. I'm working for the CIA or one of the agencies, and I'm going to run your election. And you, as the board of elections in the state of, Ohio or New York, don't know I'm there. But I come to my handlers at the CIA and say, do we want Kamala to win by 1%, 3%, or 5%? Do we want her to win early in the day? Do we want her to surge by noon? Does she start winning in the evening? You make it close. We have an overnight cliffhanger, and then we bring in all the ballots in the morning. You tell me the scenario. Now, I start running that through my computer. I start voting the votes in my computer in a simulation. And if I don't like the way the votes actually turn out, I throw the votes away. I throw the actual votes away, and I make my simulation the official record. Okay, and I can do that through the computers. So Klaus Schwab has already said we don't need voters anymore. Okay, so it's all a Truman Show. You think you're going to an election, you think you're voting. You're not. The intelligence agent. You're just being fooled into an act that makes you believe that your Truman Show actions are real. They're not.
Just to go back to that American Thinker article that I was talking about in the break, you just Google your name and then American Thinker, because that gives a relatively easy summary. It's quite a complex subject that you're talking about. Basically, the basic voter ID doesn't go up in whole numbers, but there's a kind of transformation process inside the computer that gives it a kind of almost random seeming very high digit. That's the voter ID digit. And you'd only need that if you wanted to seed the whole system with fake voters, basically, and who could be slotted into those numbers and nobody would notice because there's so many like this. It's not, instead of voter 1, voter 2, voter 3, it's voter 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, and then you can easily slot in the voter immediately after, and he's going to be a fake voter. That's like the summary of it in two sentences. Yeah,
you've got it. Now what they've done in rigging the voting system, it's like a marked card scheme. You're going to mark the cards. You have the votes you want to vote, but you want to hide them in the deck. So the very first thing you got to do is you got to shuffle the deck, because you can't take a deck from the manufacturer, because the cards are ordered, from the ace of hearts or whatever the top suit is down to the lowest card. So if you just stick your marked cards in a deck that's just brand new open, they're going to be obvious because they're going to stand out. So when you shuffle the cards and you rearrange the order, and then you put in your marked cards, they look like they're just all the other cards because there's no apparent order to the cards. That's the first thing you've got to do. You've got to get the records of the voters separated from the date they registered. Okay, so I say very simply to you, I say, well, everybody knows their children. My first child was my firstborn. My secondborn was my secondborn. Say, no, wait a minute, your firstborn in my scheme was number 1. Your second one is 12. The next child is 23. The next child is 34. Then 45 and 56. You say, I don't have 56 kids. So wait a minute, you do, because there are actually, between your number 1 and your number 12, your 1 and 2, there's 10 other kids. I put them there from somewhere else. And by the way, 2 of them are fake. Now, how would you know the 2 are fake? See, as soon as I reshuffle and rearrange, now I can insert records, and then I can insert false records.
Can I just interrupt? Sorry. But but where is this voter data? So the system has been seeded with a lot of fake voters who can then, through sort of reverse engineering the voter ID number, they're secretly marked by the CIA, so they know how to pull them out and go into the system when the vote's actually going to be counted, however you do that. Are they fake names as well? Do they just randomly generate names and addresses, or are they drawn from some other real database of real persons or deceased persons, or what?
They do several. First of all, they clone some. So in other words, they take some voters that are not active, and then they just create other records with different addresses or different middle initials. Now, they look legitimate. So if you looked at that voter, you'd say, you wouldn't know that's fake unless you went out into the community and went to that address and saw if that person was there. They don't do that in the United States. That's too hard. So there's no validation that someone who looks legitimate in the voter roll is. So first, they clone votes. So you may have multiple registrations. Second, they actually create ghost registrations, which is they make them up. They just entirely make them up from addresses that they find, or they get addresses where they're registering everybody at the homeless, they're registering at a particular address that no one lives at. So they just add some there. There's plenty of places where they can add votes that are not apparent that they aren't real. And when you look at the record, it looks real. until you research that person. So within the Department of Elections, any state, if you ran this scheme, if I as a secret agent criminal ran my scheme, you as the supervisor of the Board of Elections wouldn't know I was doing it, because you would think I was voting legitimate votes, because I would have a legitimate voter ID number that was really in my system for a fake person that would have requested a mail-in ballot because I requested it as a criminal through the system, and then it would have been voted because I registered it as voted as a criminal system. I wouldn't even have to print it. And so therefore you've got one that had a legitimate number requested, a legitimate number voted. That's all you do for certification. You don't go check it any further. So that vote certifies even though it was false. And that's what...
Sorry to interrupt. I mean, I know that I was reading Joe Holt's book about the steal, and one of the things, pieces of evidence that suggests you might be onto something. I mean, this is an ongoing, evolving hypothesis, and we're airing it and discovering it, is that Wisconsin had, and Michigan, was it, had a 91% voting figure. I mean, that's normally in America, it's about 55%. So that's almost impossible. And these are all these fake votes being totted up out of fake names. We've only got... Jerome, we'll have you on again because, I mean, it's such an important issue in the run-up to the election. And you're coming up with another article on Labor Day, and check out that article on American Thinker, which explains what we just talked about in very easy-to-understand terms. I'm just going to ask you this question because we only got a minute left. One of the confusing things that's confused me is that there seem to be many claims about how the election is stolen, and one of them talks about this Dropbox, the 2000 Mules documentary using Dropbox. Is that part of the same thing, or are there different ways to steal the election? Does it all work out in one gigantic conspiracy puzzle, or different actors work?
They're all different aspects of the same thing. So sometimes they're printing them and they're dropping them. So a lot of the things that have been found have been the artifacts of the scheme. Okay, what we found here is the heart of the scheme, and the intelligence agencies are running our elections, I believe, worldwide. That's the bottom line.
Yep. I think you could well be right, and check out by the 2000 Mules on Rumble, because as you said, if it's part of the bigger, we're investigators and detectives, all of us here on among the voting public and out there among TNT viewers, and work it out for yourselves, because the stakes are so high, and you're helping us a lot, Jerome. We've got to have you on again soon, Jerome. Dr. Jerome Corsi, a very experienced investigative journalist, Killing the Deep State, Who Really Killed Kennedy, and many, many other books. Thank you so much, sir. And check you out on Twitter and other places.